Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm glad you're with me here this Sunday, and yes, I am going to be here every Sunday. If I'm not traveling, I'm going to be doing these shows live. So thanks to everybody for checking in tonight. Just got back from Italy. This is a whirlwind trip. It took 24 hours to fly to northern Italy, right by basically in the Alps by Austria and Switzerland, and this absolutely gorgeous part of Italy. And we had a chance to drive this car, the new Q3. So you think it's all glamorous what I do. So 3 flights, 24 hours to get to Italy, get out of the plane, get into the car. Actually, we had a little presentation for about 30 minutes. Get into the car, drive about an hour or so, and then I had to shoot my whole video. And then go to dinner, get up in the morning, drive to the airport, and then spend 24 hours coming back. So yeah, it's all glamorous for Zach. What's coming up this week? I'm off to California. I'm going to Laguna Seca, famous racetrack there. It's Rennsport. Every few years, all the Porsche enthusiasts get together and they have a big get-together. I'm being invited by Porsche Canada. They're having an unveiling on the first full day. I'm not sure what it is. I think it would be pretty cool if they unveiled the new 911 at Rennsport. So it's a total owner enthusiast. They have historic race cars there. They have legendary race car drivers. They do have track events where the vintage cars go on the track. And then they have all the collectible cars. People come from all over North America. So that's going to be very cool. So stay tuned, kind of for like a more of a vlog from there. All right, let's get into the questions. And Mina, hi from Montreal. We have a Rogue 2016. We're already starting looking for a new car. We usually don't carry a lot of people, and we're looking for something with more comfort for the same price. Comfort is very subjective. That's the one thing I get all the time. How quiet is a car? Well, what's quiet for me might not be quiet for you. What's comfortable for me might not be comfortable for you. So what I really want you to do is whatever car you're going to drive, whether it's direct competitors like the new Toyota RAV4 that's coming out at the end of the year, whether it's the CR-V from Honda, all of the main players in that compact utility space, is when you take it for a test drive, don't spend 5 minutes in the car. Tell the dealer before you head out, I need to spend some time with this car. I'm going to go out for an hour or so, and I want to feel how comfortable it is, how quiet it is, how close everything is. So that's my best advice, because my personal opinion could be different from you. You might be a lot shorter, a lot taller than me. I don't really know. So that's my advice to you. Calvin says, hey Zach, would you buy an Alfa? Looking at a Stelvio, but worried about reliability. Yeah, I think that there's some people out there that have a concern about Alfa Romeo, an Italian brand, new into the marketplace. Reliability, what's it going to be like? This is a perfect opportunity to lease, okay? The great thing about leasing is I call it the 3 or 4 year test drive. And there's a guaranteed buyout at the end of the lease. So say it's a $50,000 vehicle. At the end of 4 years, it's $25,000 to buy it out. You've paid $25,000. If the car has been fine, it's been in for a few minor things along the way, hey, no harm, no foul, you might consider keeping it. If you don't, and you've had issues with it, this is for any car. So when it's a new technology and a new entrance into the marketplace, leasing is a good way to go. Same thing I always say for electric cars. If I was getting an electric car, I would lease it, because just like your cell phone, a new one comes out that's got more stuff. So if it's a worry for you, that's something to consider. Kellington Link says, by continent, which are your favorite brands? Asia, North America, and Europe. Well, they all have high and low points. If you're a follower of my channel and you're a follower mostly of these live chats, then you know I'm a big German car fan. I love German cars. I've owned a lot of German cars. I've owned one Japanese car, 2 Japanese cars, 3 Japanese cars. I had 2 Toyotas and a Honda. Yeah, so 3 Japanese cars, a lot of German cars, 5 BMWs, 4 Porsches. So that's where I am. I want a North American car too. I think, and I've been on the record, I think the North American brands are improving their quality substantially. It's funny the last person asked about the Stelvio, because this new Wrangler is so much better. Like, I mean, night and day better than the previous version. And when you look at the quality scores of the different brands, FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, their quality scores have come up. So everybody dumps on domestics, whether it's Ford, GM, or FCA, but they're making better cars. Trust me on this. Preethi, I think is how you say it, looking for to buy a used BMW 2012 X3. What is your opinion about it? I have really no gripes about the X3. I would say when you look at these compact premium utilities, the X3 has kind of been the driver's choice. There's the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder or the inline 6. Now, if you can find the inline 6, that would be the one that I would get. It's a tried and proven technology. If you drive them without beating on them all the time, they actually can deliver pretty good fuel economy. If you're getting a 2012, see if you can find one with an extended warranty. I always like to keep German cars under warranty. I have no problem with the car. If you can find the 35, the X3 35, which was the inline 6-cylinder, that is a nice car. Teklo 4, Nissan Titan or Toyota Tundra. My big issue with the Toyota, there's two main issues I have with the Tundra. Sucks fuel, really likes gasoline, and the interior is not to my taste at all. I find it really stark, and you know, the domestic manufacturers, especially FCA with that new Ram, that interior is luxury car-like on the inside. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. You know, the new GM trucks are just coming now, the new Silverado and the F-150, their interior is slightly better than Toyota, but not that great. The Titan, I actually enjoy driving it. I would probably, for me, I would get a domestic truck. Derek Burke says, hello from Detroit. Okay, I'm going to answer your question. If it was for long-term reliability and you're going to own it and resell it later down the road, the Toyota is a no-brainer. Okay, if you're a short-term owner, get the Titan. Bab says, Zach, Infiniti QX50 or Acura RDX? Thank you. Very different products. The QX50 has the new variable compression 4-cylinder engine, turbocharged 2-liter with a continuously variable transmission. The RDX is a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder with a 10-speed automatic transmission. And so you've got latest, newest technology with a variable compression engine and a CVT versus the RDX, which is a 2-liter turbo. It's basically the Honda Accord turbo engine that's available in the top line and plumbed into the RDX. For my personal taste, I would go for the RDX. The styling though, I think the QX50, they did a great job. I think it looks fantastic. Now, then you get onto the inside. QX50, the in-dash tech is old. They came out with a brand new utility and they stuck in the old head unit and the old infotainment system. So based on all of that, RDX takes it. Parth says, hey Zach, what's the best used Porsche under 40 to 50 coming from a manual 335 IS, a weekend car, not daily? Best used Porsche under $50,000 is a Boxster or a Cayman. Okay, if you're considering buying a 911, you're going to see 911s that are under $50,000. They are going to be 996s. That was the first generation of water-cooled. Don't buy one. It's too tempting to, oh my God, there's one for $30,000. I can't believe it. Don't buy it. Then there's the 997, which had similar issues to the 996 up until 2009. And if you're looking for a 2009 997 or newer, it's going to be way over $50,000. So those two early water-cooled cars, 996, 997, up to 2008, they're going to be less than 50 grand. Don't buy them, okay? You want to get the newer 911, and if you get an older air-cooled 911, you're not getting anything good for under 50 grand. So that comes back to Boxster and Cayman. And if you can, get one of the last of the flat 6 Boxster or Cayman. What would be, all right, Killington, I'm not going to keep answering like over and over the same person's questions. I'm going to skip by a few. So I appreciate you being here and taking part, but if you know, I've got lots of other people I got to get to. Johnny C says, hey Zach, I'm looking to upgrade a sedan to luxury sports CUV within the current year. I currently drive an Accord and I wouldn't mind the new RDX. However, I do like the Q5 and the X3. Budget's $55K. I think you're going to get. Well, these are tough. You know what? This car, this new Q3. I'm not really supposed to talk about it till tomorrow at 3. So when you go to these events, there's an embargo. That means that everybody that goes over a 3-week period cannot write about the car, cannot publish a video, cannot give their impressions of the car until tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All I'm going to say to you is, if you're looking for a vehicle, and maybe it doesn't need to be an X3 size or a Q5 size, the Q3, I think when you watch the video when it comes out tomorrow, will impress you. Now, it's not coming till next spring, early summer, but that vehicle I think is going to impress. So wait and come back next week after you've watched that video, okay? RDX, as I just mentioned, I think the RDX, I was talking about this last week, the RDX is going to be an absolute massive hit for Acura. And they haven't had a lot of massive hits, especially with their car line. Their SUVs, yeah, they've been very good. They need to update the MDX to give it a certain kind of look and a similar interior to the MDX, but the RDX absolute is going to be a great vehicle for a lot of people. Some Guy Zero says, just here to say hi. Thanks for checking in. Live Leak says hi. Yuri from the Straight Pipe says, I miss you. Hope to see you soon. Well, Yuri's a big fan of the channel. Thanks, Yuri. I'm not sure, Yuri, if you're going to any events. Straight Pipes guys, we run into each other now and again. But yeah, there's some events coming up, and sometimes we see them there. Parth says, what advice would you give a multiple car owner? How do you not get attached? It's hard for me to say goodbye to my manual 335 IS. Here's the thing. If I had a 335 IS, I would keep it. It's a great car. It's one of the best cars on the road. I see them now. I see the, the 335. When did it come? 06, 07, the 335. It's a great car. So a couple of things you can do is, I'm not sure what year your 335 IS is, but it's going to depreciate over time. So you might want to cash out and keep some of that equity towards a new car. But if it's depreciating and it's worth, I don't know what your financial situation is like, but sometimes I say to people, is you can make another $10,000, but are you going to get another 335 that you've owned since brand new and looked after? No. My camera guy for driving TV, Brian Chow, he had a 335 IS, and Steve Dinan installed the Stage 1 package in his car personally when he was doing an interview at one of the BMW dealerships here in the Lower Mainland. And wow, 400 pound-feet of torque and 375 horsepower. The car was awesome, and he regrets to this day ever selling it. So I know, but they can get to a certain age where they become expensive to maintain. I understand that. Great car. But sometimes you got to make changes. If it's for a family, you need more seats, what are you going to do? Somebody just says, I think next year I'm going to travel to your country. Come on. Love to see you. Come to Canada anytime. We're very friendly. We're told that all the time. Jack says, hey Zach, huge fan, been following me and watching your videos for a couple of years. First time had a chance to join your live chat. We'll get a question in if you like. Thank you from local Vancouverites. I hope to bump into you on the road. I always see your videos around King Edward. Yeah. So a lot of my videos I do in the Shaughnessy neighborhood in Vancouver. For those that are maybe in other parts of the country, Shaughnessy is like Rosedale in Toronto. It's like Mount Royal in Montreal. Big, old, very, very expensive houses, big, wide streets. Now, I don't live in that neighborhood. I'm here to tell you I don't live in that neighborhood, but it's not far from where I live. So I walk my dog through there all the time, and I shoot a lot of videos in there. I've made some nice friends in there who own houses, and they're always saying, hey, Zach, how's it going? Yeah, so what is an average price of a house in that neighborhood? $15 million, probably? Expensive. What's your opinion on the 19 Silverado you tested this week? I didn't test it. There was an event in Northwest Territories. They flew into Nunavut, and not Nunavut, Iqaluit, and then they drove. So I didn't get a chance to drive it. So hopefully I'm going to get it. Lewis says, hey, I'm going to Italy. How can I drive one of those? Well, the new Q3, yeah, pretty sweet ride. I'm telling you, well, I can't tell you right now. Watch the video tomorrow. Thoughts, and James says, thoughts on the rumor the 2019 CX-5 will get the turbo 2.5. Here's the thing. All of the Mazda cars are built off the same Skyactiv platform. Mazda 6, CX-5, CX-9, pick a car. They're basically bigger, shorter, wider, narrower versions of the same platform. And they all share the same engines. Here's an interesting thing. When they make the 2-liter Skyactiv 4-cylinder and they make the 2.5-liter Skyactiv 4-cylinder, there is absolutely no difference in those engines except for the size of the bore. They actually have CNC machines. Have you ever seen those machines that can cut countertops? They're computer-operated robotic CNC machines. When they actually get the block, they CNC out the bore for the piston. One is smaller for the 2-liter, larger for the 2.5-liter. So the great thing, and what Mazda has done very, very well, is they have this system with all of their Skyactiv technology. They can make it bigger, they can make it smaller, and it all fits together like Lego. So they can easily take that 2.5-liter turbo out of the CX-9 and the Mazda 6 and plumb it into the CX-5. If I was running Mazda, I would call it a proper GT, that would be good. Here's the interesting thing about that engine. If you ever get a chance to drive it, a lot of turbocharged engines are tuned for broad spectrum, so low end torque and also high RPM. The CX-9 and the Mazda 6 with the 2.5-liter turbo feels kind of like a diesel. It's interesting because it's got a high compression ratio, and that gives the feeling of driving more bottom end grunt, which is what you use for utility, and I think it would be awesome in that vehicle. Amir Khan says, hey Zach, which you would rather have, a Mercedes-AMG or a BMW M, and what models for what occasions? I would like to have an M2 for a little small fun car for me to drive, and for the family, I would love one of my all-time favorite cars is the Mercedes-Benz AMG E36 station wagon. That's the baller car, and I'd take all the badges off it. It would be sleeper, sleeper, sleeper. That's what I'd get. Ganesh says, your advice on buying an Altima 2007. 2017. So I'm guessing it's a used vehicle. A couple of things you got to do. You have to get it inspected by an independent mechanic. So don't just buy it from the dealer and say, oh, it's been through our shop and everything's fine. If it's a Nissan dealer here, send it over to get them to send it over to the other Nissan dealer and make sure they're not owned by the same company, okay? Because that can happen. Get it inspected. You are going to pay for the report. You are the only one that sees it, usually $150 to $250. And then you're going to do a car-proof report, and depending on where you live, if you live in the province of British Columbia, you can get an ICBC report for if it's been in any accidents. But I have no issues with the 3.5-liter Altima. But make sure you get it inspected. That's for any used car. Even if it's 6 months old, spend the money, do the homework. Hey Zach, I remember you saying you did not like the TLX last week. I'm just curious, why is that? And how would you suggest improve it next gen? The biggest issue with the TLX is the automatic transmissions they stuck in there. They were just no good, in my opinion. So they had a great car on the TSX and they had a great car on the TL. They got rid of them both, they stuck them together, and they came up with one mediocre car. I'm not here to crap all over the TLX and to say it's not an okay car. It's an okay car. If I was in the market for a TLX, I would go right past the Acura dealer into Honda and I'd buy a loaded Honda Accord. That's what I would buy. Same family, better car. Prakit says, hey Zach, please suggest a good used car under $9,000 low maintenance. A Toyota Corolla. Get it inspected, do a car-proof report, all the same stuff I just said. Go and buy a Corolla. Past and present, do you prefer Cadillac or Lincoln? And which models? I have my whole life being a Cadillac fan. I did love the Lincoln Continental Mark 6 and 7, 2 doors from the 70s, stunning cars, and the Continental from the 70s, the big round one. If anybody's old enough to remember the TV show Cannon, look it up. Cannon TV show, and Lincoln, he drove a big Lincoln. Love that car. But for me, Cadillac. I still am going to one day buy an early 60s Cadillac Eldorado convertible. Love those cars. I just need a garage big enough to fit it in. Hey Zach, good to see you back online. Amongst the luxury brands, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Lexus, Volvo, which do you think their main competitive advantage? And he puts Volvo as safety. Volvo did have the lead in safety years ago, and they basically hung their hat on that. But all of that advanced safety stuff is now available to all brands. They might have a few little things that they do differently, but all of the high-end brands have all of the advanced safety features available. So safety is not exactly just for Volvo. You look at a non-premium brand like Subaru, they get more five-star crash tests than other mainline brands, even luxury brands, and their eyesight system is voted one of the best. So it doesn't have to be Volvo for safety. Luxury brands, Lexus, of course, is quality. Audi, for me, is interior refinement, materials, and the way they're put together. Wait till you see the video tomorrow. Mercedes-Benz, for me, their mainline cars, they're okay. It's their AMG cars. And I think that for BMW, it has always been driving dynamics. Now, they have dropped the ball on some of their mainline products, like the 3 Series isn't the car it used to be. It isn't, you know, it isn't the car in its class anymore, in my opinion. But yeah, overall, their brand is still known for driving dynamics. Musa says, hey Zach, last time asked about an ILX with the 2016 CPO A-Spec, $52,000 for $23,000. What do you think? Here's what you need to do. Anybody buying a used car in the Canadian market, or if you're going to sell your used car, go to CanadianBlackBook.com, type in 2016 ILX, 52,000 kilometers, A-Spec, the features that are on the car. It will tell you exactly what the wholesale price for that car is, which is what the dealer paid for it. Then you can negotiate. To me, a 2-year-old CPO A-Spec with 52,000 at that price seems kind of high, but and there's not a big demand for this car. So check out the numbers on CanadianBlackBook.com and then go in knowing that, okay? Live Leak says, bought a 16 ATS. Okay, this is a cool car. A Cadillac ATS for coupe 2-liter turbo with 47,000. I just want to ask you if this is going to be good vehicle for winter. It was an amazing car for me. Well, you have to look at the tires. I'm not sure what tires are on the car. My advice for anybody, I don't know where you live. I'm assuming it's Canada. Do yourself a favor and buy a good set of winter tires. It is the cheapest form of insurance at about $1,000 for a set of winter tires. I live in the part of Canada that doesn't get a lot of snow, but I always have winter tires on my vehicles. I have 2 cars and I spend the money. So get good winter tires and you'll be fine with that car. Kassan says, hey Zach, fan of your show, love your videos, keep up the amazing work, thanks for that. Jack Lou says, Zach, I'm looking for electric vehicle. I'm in British Columbia, 5,000 government incentive. I'm interested in the Leaf, the Volkswagen e-Golf. Your thoughts? My first EV. I like the e-Golf because it's exactly like a Golf, except it's electric. You don't give anything up. The space, the back seat, the cargo area, it's all pretty much the same. And it doesn't look weird. It's just got different LED lights and slightly different wheels. I saw one on the way today. I was driving today and I saw one. I'm looking at it. I think that's a nice car. Now, the big problem is, can you get one? Volkswagen is not going to be selling, I believe, for 2019, the e-Golf. They're going to be slowing down production and then ramping up the ID cars that are going to be coming in 2019 and 2020 as for the European market first and coming here. The Nissan Leaf is fine. The problem I have with the Leaf is the back seat in the cargo area is small. If you could get an e-Golf, would be my choice. Both are great choices. Go drive them, see what you like. Thinking of getting a sporty compact sedan, going to test drive the G70 in a week. Any thoughts on this? Go and drive it, see what you like. I'm getting the G70 back again in a few weeks. I went to the launch event, but I'm getting it back. So there will be another review on that. If you're not in a rush, just wait a few weeks. Oceanic Flight says, hey Zach, MSRP on the Chevy Impala around 30 grand. I hear they don't sell well. How much do you think I can get knocked off? Okay, so just I was having a conversation with Jim Matthews from leasebusters.com. And Leasebusters is a great way if you're trying to get out of a lease. And they have another company called Car Cost Canada. And you can go on there, I think it's around $50. You can spec out a vehicle and it'll give you any of the discounts, the rebates, secret incentives, reduced interest rates, all of those sorts of things. You are absolutely right. This is a car that you should be able to get a substantial discount on, especially as we march towards a new year. It's September, almost October. As we get closer to the end of the year, you never know, you might even be able to find a 2017 that's sitting on the lot, and you better get a damn good discount on that. By the way, if you own it and you buy it and drive it, it's a very large, comfortable, well-designed car. Like I tell people all the time, everybody craps on domestic cars. Now, it's not a sports car, but if you just want good transportation, it'll do the job. Killington, aside from Mike and Max, how many people work with you? And what did they do and how did they meet? How did you meet them? Well, I had an open audition here on the channel. That's how I got Mike and Max. I do work on my own. My wife, there she is. Funny, she just popped up. Helps me sometimes. And I also do a TV show across the country where we have, other camera people and editors. Yeah, I do it on my own. And filming and editing, I do it on my own. What is your opinion of buying a 2013 Toyota Avalon XLE Limited for daily use? 88,000 kilometers. My opinion, this is between a 2017 Ultima and this. I think that the Avalon would be a better long-term hold and buy. It's basically a stretch version of the Toyota Camry, and it's the sort of budget version of the Lexus ES. So it's a very well-made car. So you've got the Lexus ES, and then you've got the Avalon, and then below that you've got the Camry. All of them are known for one thing. What's that? Bulletproof reliability. If you are interested in an Avalon, you will be surprised, first of all, by just how comfortable and quiet it is. Same thing I mentioned earlier. Go to Canadian Black Book and look up the wholesale price of that car, and you'll know what dealers are paying for them and where you should land to buy one. If you're okay with driving that car for what it is, a big, soft, sort of quasi-luxury car, hell yeah, have at it. Another great car that people overlook is the Buick LaCrosse. Buick has right at the very top of industry when it comes to quality scores, and you can pick these things up for pennies on the dollar. Sean says, I live in a busy city like Toronto. Buying a 3 Series, I'm not sure. I'm not sure your question. I don't understand the question. Gary Sandu, will diesel-powered SUVs ever make a comeback? No. What we're going to have is diesel SUVs are going to be disappearing altogether from the German manufacturers. Porsche just yesterday or the day before announced that they are not going to be selling any more diesels in any of their vehicles around the world starting next year. So diesels are going to be gone even from the European market. BMW just announced a week or so ago that they're getting out of diesels altogether for the Canadian and North American marketplace. Mercedes-Benz is out of it, Audi's out of it, Volkswagen's out of it. So you take the Germans, they're gone from diesel. And by the way, if you like diesel, and I love diesel, I have a diesel Cayenne, if you can find one and you want to keep it long term, go out and buy one now. For example, if there's any of the new BMW diesel still sitting on dealer lots, if you want one, go buy one because you'll never get another one. The Japanese are kind of getting into diesel, haven't been officially released yet for the Mazda CX-9. For the Mazda CX-5, but I can guarantee when that engine is released for that vehicle, it'll also make it into other products. And then you have the domestic manufacturers. So you have General Motors is selling diesel products and Ford and others. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a select few from Japan and then the domestics. But I love them. They're great. And if they can keep them clean. Oh, I forgot Jaguar Land Rover. They have diesels as well. But no, they're not making a comeback. Paul says, what do you think of the Volvo XC60 Inscription T6? where with the Jaguar F-Pace and the Audi Q5. Well, they're all very different. So interior, Jaguar comes in third place. They need to update the interior of that car. A lot of hard plastics in there. The XC60 inscription, beautifully finished on the inside, as is the Q5. The F-Pace is the winner when it comes to performance if you don't get an S Q5. So yeah, for me, and I think that the F-Pace is more expensive. When you start equipping it kind of the way you want, you're going to be spending more money for that. My advice to you is go and drive them all and see which one you like. There's nothing wrong with any of them. What are your personal tastes? Do you like a smooth ride? Do you like a bumpy ride? Do you like performance? Do you like, infotainment system that's easy to use and not? Because the Jaguar infotainment system is not the best, right? So get in there and try them all up. Okay. It's jumping around on me again. I got to get back to where I was. Some people are writing some mean things on here. I'm torn between an M235 versus an M240. I know that the B58 is a newer engine, but I'm unsure about reliability. You know what? I think that both of them are fine. I have no issue recommending either one. And you're probably going to get a better price on an M235 versus the 240. You know what? If you're motivated by price, then you're motivated by the engine being out a little longer, then go for the M235. I don't think there's that much in it to opt for the more expensive, newer version, because the M235 is balla. It's a great car. Hey, Zach, I have an X3 diesel. Want to buy a new diesel. Any suggestions on which is comparable but sportier? I just went through all that. There's not going to be any diesels left. If you like an X3 diesel and you're considering getting a new one, see if there's any available. 2019 CX3 review soon. I think Max did a CX3 review recently, or Mike. So have a look on the channel. There won't be really any difference from what I understand for 2019. So this is John, if you weren't listening last week. He says, can you say hi to my daughters Kaylee and JC? We got the Badongo, which is my nickname for the Durango. And Mike Gurr's review of the SRT Badongo just went up the other day. Cool truck. I like the Durango. And I kind of disagree with him a little bit on the interior. I know the interior is, yeah, it's a little older, but it's so simple. I love that. I like simple. And I think it looks really good. Hey, Zach, love your live shows. Thoughts on the Supra, BMW Z4 coming out next year. The Supra will have an updated engine, Z4. Yeah, you know what? We have to wait and see until what all of the details are about those cars. There's lots of spy shots of these cars doing testing on the Nürburgring and all that kind of stuff. But, for me to comment on what the fine details are, we got to wait, man. You got to wait. Everybody wants to rush it. Driguez says, watching from Cameroon, West Africa. How cool is that? Which is the best German sedan one can get for about $20,000 used? $20,000 used. Best German sedan, $20,000 used. I'm not sure what's available in your market, but maybe the European Passat or the Jetta might be a good way to go. What do you think about the 2018 Subaru Legacy? 3-liter. I have no problem with the Legacy. The only problem with the Legacy is it's one of those cars that nobody cares about. It's like all sedans. You have Camry and Accord, and then there's everybody else, and nobody really checks them out. I think what's going to be interesting is to watch the new Altima that has standard all-wheel drive versus Subaru, which has built their whole brand around all-wheel drive. I got really no issue with the Legacy. It does, everything is as advertised. So if you like it, have at it. Mild facelift. I think they give it a very mild facelift for 2018. Barry says, any comments regarding hybrid versions of the CR-V and a RAV4? We live in Montreal and wife wants a hybrid. Just don't want her to have any problems in winter. The RAV4, CR-V no hybrid yet. RAV4 hybrid has been around for a few years. Toyota hybrids have been around for 20 years. And if you have no worries about it, buy a Toyota RAV4 hybrid. If you're not in a rush, the new RAV4 is coming at the end of this year. So that'll be the brand new 2019 RAV4. Yes, it will have a hybrid, and there might be some news that it might be a plug-in hybrid, kind of like the Prius Prime. We'll have to wait and see on that. But if you want a hybrid and you want zero issues, go get a RAV4 hybrid. Is Mazda really coming out with a diesel vehicle? Apparently, yes. It's had initial approval by the EPA in the United States, and somebody asked last week, who cares about the EPA? Canada piggybacks on the EPA. So if the EPA passes an engine for certification, Canada will do the same. And yeah, so apparently it's coming. I was on the Canadian website, nothing about the diesel. On the US website, they actually have a link for the CX-5 diesel, and all it is you can put your information in and you can get updates on it, but there's nothing new that I can report. Maybe stay tuned for the LA Auto Show. Maybe in LA they're going to unveil that vehicle. James says, hey Zach from Toronto, if money was no issue, what would your choice of daily driver be? It would be, my daily choice, it would be Carrera, a 911 GT3. Hey Zach, what's your opinion of the Peugeot, Renault, and other French cars? What's with the frickin' French cars? Every week somebody asks me about French cars. Nobody wants French cars in North America. Nobody wants a French car. We had French cars here. We had Peugeot, Renault, Citroën, and everything else. They were crappy cars, and they left. Now, that being said, we do have some French cars that are designed with Nissan, okay? So Nissan, Renault, and then Mitsubishi now are all one alliance. So yeah, we do get cars that have some French influence, but to bring real French brands to North America, forget about it. No Sensitivity 55 says, hey Zach, looking to pick up a new Volkswagen Golf SportWagen. How do you feel about the 1.4T with the front wheel drive versus the 1.8 4Motion? So I mentioned it last week that yes, the Golf line, unlike the Jetta line, had the 1.4 with the new version. The Golf line had the 1.8 and then the larger 2-liter in the GTI and the Golf R. Now Volkswagen is going to 1.4 liter, and the only exception is the SportWagen. Now, the way I read it was the SportWagen, regardless of front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, is getting the 1.8. Now, you might have more information on that than me. So here's the thing. If you're concerned about this, the cars are going to become, these are 2019s, by the way. Drive the new Jetta with the 1.4. It will shock you. I think it's 187 pound-feet of torque, and the current 1.8 is 199. So there's not a lot in it. And that new 1.4 liter engine is a little marvel. It's a great engine. So the proof, as they say, is in the driving. So let's wait till we get, I have driven a 1.4 turbo in Europe. The latest generation, Mark 7 Golf when it first came out, but great engine. So will a lot of people care? No. Will enthusiasts care? Yes. But also, one thing I've heard is that Volkswagen is working on Volkswagen Golf R SportWagen. How cool would that be? Why have you not owned a Mercedes-Benz product? Just curious. Well, I'm of a certain age when Mercedes-Benz cars, for the most part, were really dull to drive. Okay, in the last 10 years, Mercedes-Benz has really upped their game and made their cars much more dynamic to drive. And I was thinking about this the other day with the E-Class. I did a review of the E-Class coupe and the convertible that went out last week or so. And up until like about 10 years ago, if you drove an E-Class or a C-Class, God, were they boring to drive. They had, like, for the number one thing for me was you have to really put a lot of throttle travel in to get it to do anything. And this was done because Mercedes-Benz was a traditional luxury brand for guys a little gray, the banker type, heading down to the office downtown. So you had to give it a lot of throttle, and then it sort of it swooshed away. And I didn't like that. And the steering was this, they had these huge steering wheels, and you drove them like this. And I didn't like them. And I always liked BMWs and Porsches. Now the new Mercedes cars, they don't have that anymore. They've got all of the electronic age of the drive modes and all that kind of stuff. Way, way better. But I kind of moved past that in the stage of my life into now we have a family utility vehicle. That's why. Because when I was in the market buying all those older BMWs, Mercedes wasn't in the game, in my opinion. Josh says, hey Zach, we just got the Range Rover Sport TD6 at home and love it. What do you think of the upcoming Range Rover Sport Hybrid? Will be a better option? No, I'm telling you, all of these, I saw, what did I see today? An X5 Hybrid. Have you seen the price of these things? When you start factoring in the price and, you know, I don't know. For me, some of these sport hybrid luxury SUVs are fine if you can't get the diesel. And that's going to be the case with, you know, all of the brands, and Range Rover is the exception. But you bought the right one, dude. It's a great product. You did a great job. So I hope you enjoy it. Great engine. That same engine is the same block, I should say, is in the new Ford F-150 pickup truck. And if you drive the Ford F-150 pickup truck or you drive the Range Rover Sport TD6, you can't tell it's a diesel. You just can't. Hey Zach, what do you think is better, buy a brand new pickup for a daily driver or buy an older one in okay shape and spend, let's say, $10,000 to make it really reliable? I always say whenever you're buying a car, buy the most expensive car that you can afford, like the best car you can afford. Because buying a crappy old car and fixing it up is fool's money. You're just throwing money away. Take that $10,000 and buy a lower mileage, better condition, no dents, one owner, all that kind of stuff. Buy the most car you can for the money. Don't buy a crap car and try to fix it up. Never works. Gary says, have you ever driven the first Acura NSX? If so, what did you think? They are so expensive and hard to find. Yes, I can clearly remember driving the NSX. I drove it many times in the 90s. And the interesting thing about the original NSX, it drove like a big Honda. Like, I mean, it was so easy to drive and it was so comfortable and the gauges and everything were so familiar. It drove like you were driving a big Accord or a big Civic. It was an awesome car. Very reliable. One of the colleagues that we have here in Vancouver, he has an original white NSX. And it's a very good car, yeah. And these were not expensive a few years ago. It's only in the last 3 or 4 years that the price of used NSX have shot way up. Great car. Hey Zach, any news, rumors, scuttlebutt on a new Land Rover Defender? From what I understand, they might bring the Defender name back. It's not going to be a body-on-frame ladder sort of truck. That is gone. And I would love to go to Europe and pick one up and bring one over. Mark says, hey Zach, what would you pick for a first car? 2018 Mazda 3 GT sedan, Civic SE. I live in the GTA and I love your channel. I would probably go with Civic because Civic is newer, just got a facelift. If you didn't listen last week, Civic, I think it's for 2019, so if you're on the fence, 18 or 19, get the 19 for the only reason that they put a volume knob back on the screen. So I would get that. Mazda 3 is at the very end of its cycle, okay? There's going to be a new car coming. So do you want to have sort of the last year, or you want something that's sort of only been out for a couple of years? So for me, Civic. Edgerson says, hey Zach, what's your opinion on the decision to remove $10,000 rebate in Ontario? Well, if you've watched this live chat, I am not a fan of rebates for electric cars, because all you're doing is giving an individual money for their personal transportation. It doesn't really benefit the public in any way. Here are the 3 words that you have to remember. If you want to get people to change their attitudes about driving, 3 words: transit, transit, transit. Governments have got to plow money into transit, transit, transit. Subways, light rail, buses. No, streetcars are a terrible idea. They just clog up traffic. But all of the above. And you want to make change to the environment, you want to make change to the way people get around, give them good transit and they will use it. All you need to do is go to Manhattan, everybody takes a subway. The biggest example is you need to go to Japan, to Tokyo. Everybody takes a train. There are car sales, of course, but that's how you're going. But so giving somebody $14,000 for them to go and buy a car, I think is asinine. As generic as the question is, what car would you recommend for a student? 10,000 limit, a Corolla or a Civic. What do you think is? Do you think it's wise to go EV when living in an apartment? Thoughts on the Tesla? If you can charge the car at work, yes. If you can't charge the car at work, no. Because you got to charge it, whether you're at work or at home. If you're always going to go to superchargers, then that's really not convenient. And most superchargers are outside of the city. So if you can't charge it at home and you can't charge it at work, get an efficient car. For a rare classic, what's better, a Bricklin or a DeLorean? Can I say neither? Driven them both. DeLorean probably. And most people outside of Canada have no idea what a Bricklin is. All right. Hey, Zach, your thoughts on the Subaru BRZ as a summer fun car? Yep, absolutely. And if you want another fun car to drive, go get an MX-5. So drive the BRZ, drive an MX-5, choose the one you want. Good evening, Zach. I'm about to do a 3-year lease on a new Kia Stinger GT2 coming from a 2015 A7 TDI. Do you consider it being a downgrade luxury-wise? Well, it's interesting because I just got rid of a 2015 Audi A7 TDI, so I'm very familiar with that car. I would say the interior of the Stinger is actually kind of on par with the Audi when it comes to, you know, the materials and the fit and the finish. I think that where the real strength of the Audi comes into play is for long highway drives. Like if I didn't have to get rid of that car, I actually don't really need a second car like that. If I could have kept it, I would have kept it, because if you want a car to drive for 5 hours on a long trip, man, that is the one, or a Panamera. But yeah, just an awesome car. You know what I think? I think you're going to love the Stinger. That's what I think. Hey, Jay Bringus says, I really like how you love Porsches. Any news on the new 911s? Do you think recommending getting a new model in its first year? Wise to wait till the kinks are straightened out? Here's the thing about Porsche. They are either number one or they're number two in terms of initial quality, not always initial quality, but dependability from J.D. Power and Associates. Porsche is at the top of the game year in, year out, year in, year out. Brand new first year, yes, there could be some issues, but they have kind of earned the respect of people who have owned them, that they make excellent products. So first year 911, would I have some concerns? As I said, one thing you can do is you can lease the car. Like I said, a 3-year test drive. If it's been problem-free, then buy it out and keep it. If not, then you can spin it into a more recent version of it. And after a couple of years, there'll be some specialty versions always that come from Porsche. But here's the thing. When is it coming? I don't know. The rumor, from what I understand, it's going to be the LA Auto Show. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm heading to Rensport this week in California. So it's going to be interesting to see. They're having an unveiling from Porsche. It'll be interesting to see if they show the car there. Should I get undercoating for my SUV? I live in Edmonton. No. If you're going to get any kind of rust protection, you want to get either Rust Check or Crown in the Canadian market. Those two. That's it. Don't get dealer rust proofing. A recent college grad, what do you think? The Camry SE Sporty Style is solid and reliable. Very solid and reliable. I'm not sure a Camry for a college grad, you know, maybe a Corolla hatchback, but I don't know. Do you really want to drive a Camry? Maybe when you're 10 years older, but I don't know. Hey, Zach, wondering about your thoughts on the Honda Insight. I think it's the best looking Honda sedan. I agree with you. I think it's a really nice looking car. Apparently they're made in Japan and sold at all dealerships. I got one booked in a few weeks. So if you want my real thoughts on it, just wait until I get a chance to drive it. It's basically a down-rated version of the Accord hybrid, just similar technology. A lot of times what they do is they bring in limited numbers, and when they're all sold out, you got to wait. But yeah, that's what you have to do. Dave Reimer says, Zach, a bit of a commentary, please, on why the market is so quickly heading away from manuals. Because traffic is so bad. I mean, I'm not sure where you live, but if you live in a major urban area, I use the Canadian market because that's where I live, whether it's Vancouver, Toronto, or Montreal, I mean, it's gridlock every day. So that's why. Jason says, wondering how Subaru's Ascent is doing in sales and customer feedback. I think anything Subaru sells like crazy. So the new Forester just arrived, the new Ascent. A neighbor bought one down the street. I'm not sure what the customer feedback is in it, but I got to tell you, it impressed me a lot. They really worked that thing out. Like, it's very smooth, it's quiet, it's comfortable. It's got lots of room. It's got a great starting price at $36,000. So I think it's going to sell very well. In a busy city like Toronto, would buying a 3 Series really help experience and driving dynamics? If not, would I be better off with an Audi or Merc? First luxury car. All three of them are fine. Driving dynamics, you know, it's when you get a little quiet time on a early morning or late evening on an on and off ramp onto the highway, you get to sort of have a little fun or whatever. But all three are great. I wouldn't say that Audi and Merc have less in terms of driving dynamics from a 3 Series. If you just tuned in earlier, I said I think that's the one area where I think that that's the one car that BMW is slipping on in terms of driving dynamics and handling is the 3 Series. It's not the car it used to be. It's become soft and kind of, you know, vanilla. An Audi with the new A4 is a fantastic car, and the C-Class is great. So they're all apples. They're just, one's a Macintosh, one's a Granny Smith, and one's a Delicious. You go and try them all. See which one you like best. Hey, Zach, I love you. You are the best YouTuber. I wish I was the best YouTuber because I'd have 1 billion viewers. All right, we're kind of running up against the clock here. I'm going to go to the bottom and work my way up for a change. Rambir says, hey, I bought a Mercedes C300 back in 2015. I'll be out of warranty next year. Can you advise and you should buy an extended warranty? Currently has 30,000 kilometers. Well, this is a real toss-up. My advice is, okay, how long are you going to keep the car? That's the number one question. How long are you going to keep the car? Going to keep the car for a year? Then you can probably try your luck and go without it. You're going to keep the car for 3 or 4 years, an extended warranty isn't a bad idea. You have very, very low mileage on the car, so you might be able to go a short time without it, but my opinion is if you're going to keep the car for 3 or 4 more years, get the extended warranty. Have you driven an E36 M3? What are your thoughts about getting one and taking it to the track? I love the E36 M3. A lot of people like the E46 better. I love the size of the E36, and that's why the new M2, it kind of reminds me of that car. The biggest difference between that car is it had a single throttle body for all 6 cylinders, where some of the other older M cars had a throttle body for each cylinder. Some people discount it and say it was sort of like a detuned version of the European E36 M3, but I loved it. I thought it was great, and it'd be a hell of a lot of fun to drive at the track. Brad McKenzie says, what are your thoughts on a GT350? I think you should go and buy 2. It's that good. It's a great car. A week or 2 away from getting the Bullet Mustang, so can't wait to drive that. You know, I love the Mustang, so yeah, GT350, awesome. Somebody says, I remember seeing something in the news about Peugeot coming back to the US. It seems Zach does not like French cars, which is a shame. They're as nice as German cars. Hello, have you looked at the sales? No, that's not true. I don't think any French brand is coming back to North America. And I think if they do, they'll get clobbered. What is your take on a Panamera GTS 2016, very low mileage, or new Tesla? Oh yeah, it's Panamera. I think is that the GTS with the last of the V8? If it's the last of the V8 Panamera GTS, yeah. If it's not the V8, then I would consider the Tesla. Yeah, very different products. What are your expectations of the new full electric Audi? So I was just in Italy driving the new Q3, and obviously the new e-tron came up in conversation quite a bit. And I think what Audi is going to, we don't have the Canadian pricing yet. It starts at 75,000 US. But what does Audi have going for it that Tesla does not, and vice versa? Audi has a reputation for building very well put together cars with great design, wonderful interiors, advanced electronics, and they can say they're going to make a car and make it and deliver it to you when they say they're going to do that. So that's right away, first thing. Yes, so here's the thing about an electric car. There's no gateway to making an electric car. You need batteries, electric motors, software, and then you build it. That's how Tesla started, putting together a bunch of Panasonic laptop batteries. So that's all you need to do. There's nothing really stopping anybody doing what Tesla's been able to do, except Tesla has their supercharge network. But Audi, along with Volkswagen of North America and the Volkswagen Group, is going to be putting 2,000 fast charging stations throughout North America for all electric cars to use, not just Volkswagen Group cars, including Audi and Volkswagen. So that's what they have right now. Tesla has the advantage when it comes to supercharging, but this 2,000 superchargers, or whatever they're going to be called, from the Volkswagen Group is going to be coming in 18 months. I mean, they're going to be ramping this up quickly because they have a bunch of new electric vehicles coming. e-tron from Audi. You have the ID cars from the Volkswagen. You have the new Porsche Taycan coming as well. So lots to come. So I was given that there's going to be a new test drive opportunity for the e-tron soon. So stay tuned for that. I can't say any more than that, but I will be getting a chance to drive it. All right. Hey, Zach, I had to return my lease, and I was wondering, what are ways to negotiate repair costs when being appraised other than getting myself into another lease from the dealer? Here's the thing. People gripe about they send the car back after lease and then they ding you for things. Okay, here's what I say to people. If you had a used car and you owned it and you were going to sell it, you would make sure it was represented in the best possible way you could. If the wheels were all ground up, you would get them refinished. If there were scuffs on the bumper, you would get it repainted. If there was a tear in the leather, you would get it repaired. Well, the dealer has to do all of that as well. Now, here's one way you can mitigate that, is you can get all of that stuff done outside of the dealer before you send the car back. So send it back with no issues. Then they can't come back on you. All right, I'm running out of time. Thanks to everybody who checked in today. It's always great that you're here, and I really appreciate all of the feedback that I get on all of the videos. I do read all of the comments. Don't worry about that. I read all the comments, good and bad. If you have any suggestions or comments, feel free to reach out, and I will be here next Sunday. I'm going to be coming back from that Rennsport Porsche event in California on Saturday. I'll be back on Sunday. So I'm all out of time this week. Thanks for checking in. I will speak to you next time. See you then. Bye now.